Have you ever seen the life drain from someone's eyes as they clock in for their 12th shift in 13 days? That's called burnout. And we're going to talk about that and a lot more here on Zaboys to Men.
You're listening to a Zaboys Media Podcast.
Hey, I am Chris. Some people call me Positive C. Over there is James Thornquist. Some people call him the Brain Box.
Howdy.
And we're Zaboys, and we're going to talk about what it's like to be alive here on the Zaboys the Men podcast. We talk about so many different pop culture things in our lifetime, and sometimes even real life events and stuff like that in our everyday life that we decided to take a little time and talk about what it is to be just being a human being. And we're going to roll through a bunch of topics. I think last week we actually brought up the topic we're doing this week, burnout, because we were talking about last time. Whenever you heard episode 1, the last whatever time that was, this is the second episode. So before that, we talked about
work-life balance,
and within that we got to burnout.
Yeah, no, we definitely did. It came up so naturally. Like we were just talking, and the next thing you know, it was like, oh man, burnout. That's a pop culture word, which I still believe it is overused for pop psychology, but I will admit it is a real thing and is very close to depression.
Oh, it is. It has all the same symptoms and everything like that. In fact, we will get some technical terms right now in what we're going to start off with most of the time when talking about these different topics. We're going to try to find what the professionals have to say about these things, because we're not professionals. We're not. We're professional talkers, I guess. I've gotten paid to talk before. What about you there, Thorny?
Yeah, no, I think we've both gotten paid to talk. We've gotten paid to do a lot of things, weirdly, but that sounds very vaguely weird. It's not supposed to be, but we've both been paid to talk. We've both been paid to do things in music, and but we are not trained psychologists or psychologist or therapist.
Okay, we're barely trained talkers. If you listen to that right there, we're really skimming the bottom of that too.
So let's get back on topic. Burnout. What made other than us just thinking about it last time we spoke, how you been dealing with burnout, man? Like, how is it been a thing for you lately?
It really has been a huge thing for me because of just different things at work. So when we get into kind of a little story time later, I'll tell you what we just had to deal with for the past couple of weeks when it comes to like an inventory type vibe at a grocery store. It'll definitely give some people burnout. But yeah, it's just been something that's been on the mind, looking at employees and looking at fellow employees that I have and people in my department. So yeah, burnout's been on top of mine. How about you?
Oh yeah, I feel like I'm battling burnout almost every third week. It's such a roller coaster, because every time you think you're bouncing back, you're in a nice healing phase. But honestly, for me, it's like coming back, and then it's just, oh, here's all the crap again, and right back to burning out. And it's not easy, It takes its toll. It takes its toll quickly.
Well, according to the World Health Organization, we're dealing with an occupational phenomenon when it comes to burnout. And that's real.
Phenomenon.
An occupational phenomenon. Something that I guess they're considering something that just happens in the workplace that doesn't happen anywhere else, which I disagree kind of with that, because I think there's more burnout than just workplace burnout. But it is an occupational phenomenon for the WHO, the WHO, resulting in chronic unmanaged workplace stress, not a medical condition itself. So you can't get prescribed medicine for burnout, but if it becomes a part of like your depression, you can kind of use that to get prescribed something. Symptoms include feelings of energy depletion, increased mental distance from one's job, and reduce professional efficiency. That's coming from the World Health Organization. Professionals.
Yeah.
The professionals. The idea of burnout started in the 1800s. That's when it kind of
1800s. symptoms. Wow.
Yeah. You'll notice if you go around when the idea of getting, in I guess we'll say the word burnout a lot tonight, but getting into burnout from your workplace started becoming something philosophers and scientists were thinking about is a thing in the early and mid and late 1800s. Again, the Industrial Revolution, you got to think about that. Had been going on for a little under 100 years. And so people were working in factories and doing long hours of labor.
Unsafe conditions, no workers' rights. The thing we started fighting for to make us not burn out, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
That it seems like we're experiencing less of lately because I don't know. Like I said, I think we're all burning out here in the world now. So is it because work has gotten that much more intense? Hard to say.
Well, burnout's been around since probably the Old Testament. The sources of the idea of being burnt out actually are in, I think there's an Exodus line or Leviticus. I didn't write those down, but yeah. So again, they're not. I don't know. People who wrote the Bible are professionals. We're not gonna go into that right now. But again, people who probably know more than me at some points in time about things wrote about burnout. But the term burnout came along in the 60s and 70s. That's when it started getting, written about. Books started getting the title of with burnout in it. Articles in scientific journals and things like that. 60s and 70s, and again, a time of revolutionary thinking when it comes to civil rights in general. And that went to workplace, that went to disability and things like that. That was definitely changing around then too. And so people started thinking about the mind differently, and you started kind of feeling as if, okay, maybe there's more to not liking your job than just not liking your job.
Yeah. And I think the 60s and 70s, we were seeing a big uptick in mental health, psychology studies, things like that. But I kind of wanted to circle back to something because you mentioned that burnout isn't a medical condition, which I believe is basically saying that, like I said earlier, it's close to depression. It has the ability to roll into depression. Depression is a medical condition. Burnout, it technically isn't.
It's like a symptom. You can kind of put that as a symptom, right?
Depression. Kind of. I don't know if symptom's the right word. The symptoms of burnout or depression. Yeah, I guess burnout leads to the symptoms of burnout are so similar to depression that they can lead to depression, which a few other symptoms too that I actually read up on is like there's physical signs of burnout and emotional signs of burnout. So like some of the emotional ones are just like having a sense of failure, becoming detached, which I think you mentioned, loss of motivation. Sorry. And then like developing just like a cynical or negative outlook is a really big one, which I think.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of a scary one. And then physical signs, just being tired or drained, developing a lower immunity. So like you start getting sick more often. More constant and recurring like headaches and muscle pains, and then just changes in like your appetite and sleep, which again are all shared symptoms of depression. So kind of hard to it's weird, right? Like, so burnout, if it's not a medical condition, you can only kind of, I guess, what's the diagnose? You can kind of diagnose yourself with it, whereas depression is diagnosable by a trained professional. And that you get a blurred line.
So I think that's where you get a lot of, I think that's where you should probably have every company have a workplace psychologist on staff to diagnose stuff like that. Like that is separated beyond the everyday life and put into just the workplace. How are you feeling about this workplace? What's going on in here, in this job? Like, what can we do about this? And that should be something that you could prescribe, at least like sabbaticals.
Yeah. So it's like a monthly go check in with the workplace psychiatrist or workplace mental health professional, and just talk and get it out and see if what they suggest. Maybe they're going to be like, hey, you need to take some PTO. I don't know.
Yeah, and they're not like, and they're different than HR because, like, you think about that, that's what HR ends up being, and it ends up being, you know, a huge mess, and like people lose jobs and all this stuff. No, there needs to be somebody there who has that, you know, that privacy that you can go in there and vent about the job and vent about that, and you know, maybe get some advice to do things that are different than what, you know, your HR lady is going to do or HR guy is going to do. You know, that could really help. And burnout, I think that way could end up being, diagnosed, because right now your therapist is going to tell you, yeah, you're probably burnt out on your job, but then they're going to try to dive deeper and see exactly like, okay, what's the root cause of the burnout? Because like you were saying, it's so rooted in similarities of depression. Are you carrying it home with you? Is that what's called? Is that the Kickstarter of depression?
I think so. I think burnout is the Kickstarter to depression, or it's like the first milestone towards depression.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny because like we're talking about work-related burnout, but there's other kinds of burnout too. We were discussing this earlier. I mean, I think you've mentioned work. And then I mentioned that there's lifestyle forms of burnout, and then you found like, what was it, 4 or 5 other types, I think?
There were different ones. Let me bring this up right here. We got some overload burnout.
Okay.
This is just characterized by working harder. And this could be with jobs, but it could be just life goals in general.
Yeah.
Like you're working harder and you're almost frenetically trying to get the thing accomplished that you want to get accomplished, to the point to where it's driving you crazy, and you're so hell bent on getting it done, and you're not really like I have this experience with watching my lovely partner try to get the kids ready for school in the morning.
Yeah.
Like she has so much to do, and she's trying to spin so many plates around. Yeah.
Sorry, it cut out there. You were saying you watch her get the kids ready in the morning, and what happens?
They're spinning so many plates, just spinning plates, and trying to, you know, keep everything going. And just by the time that's done, within like an hour and a half, she's already burnt out for the day, it seems like. And it's, you know, I try to, you know, help out as much as possible and things like that. You know, but sometimes you feel like you can't, because, you know, you don't feel like you can't find your way to start spinning the plate for her. And you know, it's like a dance you have to figure out too. And so that burnout's real.
You hand off a spinning plate without it falling, you know, that's
exactly. So there is also the under challenged burnout.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like, I think the exact opposite of what you're talking about is our next one, under challenged burnout, which
it's being bored.
Yeah. Bored of the fact that there's no growth, there's no new opportunities, and you just become apathetic, cynical, and you start to feel unappreciated.
Oh yeah, that's where the cynical comes in right there. You were talking about the cynical earlier, and technically speaking, which is the name of the segment. We'll try to say more names of segments if we want to, or something like that. But yeah, but yeah, this is like that kind of hit me a little bit with Sprouts.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely hit me. Well, not this Sprouts, the other Sprouts, the Vietnamese Sprouts.
Yeah. First Sprouts, not Sprouts Market. Gotcha.
Like at some point in time, it got to the point to where everything was same thing, different day, and I didn't find any challenges. So I did get burnt out with that.
No, I know what you mean. I think I deal with that quite a bit almost every day now, where it's like when the challenges come, I get burnt out because of how much they demand. But the days that are calm, I'm so bored because there's nothing challenging me, nothing pushing me. And I'm like, okay, well, this feels like a big waste of my time, and we can't do anything right. So yeah, I got some cynicism.
I'm going to skip the next one because I think boredom and kind of worn out, I think they kind of go hand in hand to a point. There's still, it's the detachment and things like that. There's a lot of giving up in it.
Just to hit it real quick, I'll say this: it's called neglect burnout, and basically, if you read up on it, it sounds more like a form of anxiety, in my opinion. Again, I'm not,
because it might not be true.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can understand. That's kind of maybe that's what I was more feeling with it. I was like, this one's the kind of burnout where it's like you're almost. This is definitely you're almost doing it to yourself.
Yeah. The idea of like feeling helpless and competent or able to keep up, and all of a sudden that stress wearing on you. I feel like that's more of anxiety, like because those are the things you feel in anxiety. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Misalignment burnout occurs when task or career path do not align with personal values or passions. And I think you can actually put this and relationship burnout in the same place, because I believe that's probably one of the biggest factors in relationship burnout, when you realize that the person that you're with doesn't align with your personal values or passions.
Yeah. If you're much more of a love everybody, share the world kind of person, and your partner's much more a chase riches and live luxurious type person, yeah, it takes a lot of work to stay happy with that person.
Yeah, it does. It does. And then finally, the final burnout on this list is autistic burnout. And I have witnessed this with my nephew. My nephew is autistic, and it's a distinct, I'll read it specifically, distinct from general burnout. This is a state of physical and emotional exhaustion and reduced function, often caused by the pressures of masking and navigating a world not designed for autistic people. And yeah, he will sometimes post on his like Instagram or Facebook story how he feels alone in this world because of it, and he doesn't feel understood, and he's tired of it, and things like that. And that is the most, like, of all the burnouts, that's the one where it should probably be considered a medical condition.
Yeah, it almost seems, because autism isn't really a medical condition, even though we do look at it that way, but it is a spectrum that everyone falls on.
Right.
But in this situation where when your mental faculties function differently, I could see this then being a mental, I won't say illness, but a mental disability, I guess. Or
I don't even think that. I think it's like along the lines of anxiety. Like, but you should be able to that should be treatable because of that. Like, if you're feeling this way and you're autistic, you should be able to get the same help as someone who just has general anxiety and is not on that part of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it has to be treated in the same vein. And because it's very specific for someone who's on the higher end of the spectrum. So you should treat it in relativity.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's
a different type of anxiety, but it's still anxiety, and it's very specific for what they're going through. So yeah, and that type of burnout that's just watching him sometimes and realizing that he feels alone in a world that should accept him, and a lot of people do, and he does get all the love and support I think that one could ask for, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes that's not enough whenever you're not looked on the same way as everybody else. So yeah, I feel, and but yeah, that's the different types of burnout. And what's the one, before we get into story time, what's the one out of those that you feel like you've dealt with the most?
Oh, that's a great question, man. I feel like I have dealt with all of these probably constantly. Maybe I haven't been diagnosed as having any form of autism, so I won't say that I've dealt with autistic burnout.
Right.
But I would definitely say I've dealt with every single one of these, sometimes at the same time. Like, I know I've dealt with misalignment in past relationships. I know I've dealt with under challenge, overload, and neglect. The one that probably comes up the most, that is a hard call.
It's tough, right? Because I'm looking at them right now and I'm like, man, I can see all of them at different points in times. I think I have an answer for the one I've dealt with the most, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say for me it's probably You know what? You go ahead. This is a hard one. This is really
Mine's misalignment.
misalignment. Okay.
It's been misalignment. And it's my doing a lot, because there are times when I feel as if and especially in just jobs, where I took the easy way to get to a place without thinking of the long term. And so quickly I realized, even though I was good at these certain jobs, I was going to be very unhappy with those careers.
You know,
Like,
I know exactly what you mean. I feel like more and more I find myself having to give up my beliefs and integrity just to maintain a work persona. So yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean there, and it's tough. It is very tough to especially when you realize it. When you start to realize that you're doing that you're giving up like your belief, like your core values, just to make a paycheck, which I think we're seeing a lot in the world these days.
Very much so.
I think we saw a lot of that in Minnesota recently, but we'll just leave it at that. Hopefully we saw a lot of that in Minnesota. I'd like to think that people are not as dark and evil as we thought, or we've seen. But I know. Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with overload burnout. I think for me, it's just having too much thrown on my shoulders or on my plates that burns me out first, and then because of it, I then reverse shift, and I start underperforming, which then leads to under challenge, boredom, burnout. But misalignment is still very much big on that one as well.
Yeah, no, this is going to be story time. I have stories when it comes to burnout that like just happened this past week and a half. If anyone out there listening is in the grocery store community or the retail community, you know what inventory audits can do to people.
So, any form of retail. You know what audits can do. But go on.
Yeah,
sorry.
they can drive people crazy. They can stress people out. They can make people start to look at the thing they've looked at 1,000 times and not recognize it. Like that's how much pressure filled some of these people get when it comes to inventory. This is the crazy thing. I did not feel any pressure. Maybe it's because it was my first little foray into it, but it was also like I don't care that much enough. I'm not as invested enough into what's actually going on there I can only do my job. Yeah. That's my whole process of mine when it comes to that job is and this is how I'm going to avoid burnout. By the way, this is going to go into advice later. Okay. I know what I can do and I know what I can't do. I'm not going to worry myself with what I can't do anymore. In anything almost. I like the only thing maybe is like with family, but other than that, I can't do what I can't do. And so I'm only going to do what I know I can do and do it my very, very best. And so I had a feeling that we were going to get our jobs done. Everyone else is stressing out, just freaking out. And you could see the different types of burnout in different people. Like my actual store manager, definitely to overload. Definitely to overload. You could see it on her face. You'd see it on her face. She was thinking, this is not going to get done. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm like maybe fearful of her job. Who knows? Like we don't know what's cycling through her head, but overloaded to the absolute T. Randy, a guy who is very, very good at his job to a point. Like I love Randy. Hopefully he'll listen to this and hear that and go, oh shit. But the only to a point is he's worn out. He's the neglect burnout. He does so much, but it's like he's still in a position. He's not
getting appreciated for it.
I guarantee he doesn't feel that way. And he's got, all kinds of stuff, in personal life that can take you away from work, including, health issues. So it's like, man, you're getting beat down and then coming to work and getting beat down. So I see where that burnout is. And then there is Isabella, and Isabella is definitely on that boredom. Definitely on that boredom. She doesn't like the job, always talks about how she wants a different job, and she doesn't just like stalking stuff and things like that. So like all these people are getting burnt out in these different ways, and I see it and I'm like, wow, you guys just take a deep breath, calm, relax, we'll figure this out, we'll do it. Telling that to Kristen, trying to just let Randy know I appreciate him. And then Isabella's gone. So
she's got the 10,000 yard stare and just going.
She gone. So it's but yeah, that's what kind of, like I said at the beginning, what brought it up. That's what really brought it up, was just looking, like, besides the stuff we were talking about, on the episode about work-life balance.
Yeah.
This past week, I saw Burnout in its full-on inception in 3 different ways, and it was interesting. It was interesting.
So I can actually piggyback off an inventory story. Few years back, probably 5 years ago now. You remember I used to be a purchaser for my current company, and I also a materials purchaser, and I also used to do a lot of our inventory processes. And back when I was leading a department, and when I say leading a department, I mean it was a 1-person department of me. They took the management position away from me and hired somebody else. And then I had to spend, the next year training him.
Right.
And one night we were doing inventory, it was end of month inventory. And you have to have your inventory squared away so you don't get audited and look like you're committing fraud, and you don't go to jail and things like that. So we spent, we started inventory at 5 p.m. We were wrapping up at about 7:30, and it was all squared away. It was all done. And they told us to go home. And then I got a call 30 minutes later when I was at home from my accounting manager, so not my boss, of her asking me to come back because the inventory system had crashed and the entire count was gone.
What?
Yeah, it had to all be re-entered. You're talking like 900 items that all had to be re-entered. Yeah. I was furious. My first question was, why aren't you calling the manager?
Yeah.
Isn't that his job? And her response was, he doesn't know what he's doing, and you do. Can you please come back and help us? I hadn't smoked a cigarette for 3 weeks at that point. My drive up there, I bought a pack, chain smoked about 4 of those things, finished the inventory in about 45 minutes, and then spent another 2 hours in her office yelling at her about how stupid it was and how it was complete garbage that they hired somebody who can't do the job. And they didn't put me in that position. So I felt very unappreciated. I felt very overloaded. Complete misalignment. I was. You're burnt out, bro. Oh, yeah. I was. Now, rest his soul. That the boss that didn't know what he was doing, he passed away, but he was a really good guy. I mean, he ended up being a really good friend after so long, but. So yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Like, you can see it on people's faces. Trying to think, do I have any other wild, crazy stories of burnout?
Did you ever play the Burnout video game from 2001?
Burnout Paradise. I did. It was actually a great driving game. If only Burnout was truly that freeing.
Well, speaking of freeing, this is the time where we will WWZD and tell you what would Zaboys do. We're just going to give you advice or something along those lines, and I think that's where I'm going to start when it comes to advice. Find a hobby that can just be your brain dead hobby.
Okay.
And in something that you can do and turn that switch off to where it doesn't matter like what's going on anywhere. You can just focus on that. And video games
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're big with our generation, because we do a lot of jobs where burnout's very easy. The millennials and Gen Z, we have burnout jobs. That's just what we do. And so there is a place for us video gamers or people who I don't even game anymore, but people who like video games as their way to relax. That's a big deal. And I think that's something people can, if they can find something like that, if you're feeling burnout, pick up some sticks.
Yeah.
See if you can spend an hour and a half of your day, every couple of days, just picking up some sticks and going through it.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah. Like you said, I think video games, they're a great way for escapism. And I think that's why we've seen such a growing popularity amongst so many generations now. I think my first step to advice would be to kind of run down the burnout roadmap. Ask yourself these few questions to see if you're experiencing burnout. And the first one, of course, is you just need to ask yourself, is every day a bad day? If it is, you're probably experiencing burnout.
Yeah.
The second question for the roadmap is does your work or home life, does it feel like a waste of energy? Have you stopped caring about it? Because if you have, you're probably on the road to burnout.
Yep.
Third question, are you exhausted all the time? Because if you are, you're probably on the road to burnout, or you are in burnout. And then the fourth question is, are the tasks that you're spending a lot of your day on, or most of your day on, are they just mind-numbingly dull or overwhelming? Because that's another sign. And then the last and fifth question, does everything you do, when you do something, does it feel like it makes no difference or is unappreciated? Because again, that's a big way to identify. Because if you're feeling that way, you're experiencing burnout. Hate to tell you.
Oh, yeah, that's huge, because it's, like you said, in the anxiety, that last little bit of not feeling appreciated. Because that is a part of anxiety, is not feeling appreciated. But there's also that feeling at work where you're not anxious about it. You're kind of frustrated.
Yeah.
You're like, I've been doing this, and this, and I'm not even a pat on the back, a thank you, a good job text, no nothing. You know what I mean? Sometimes monetary, a distinction when it comes to something that you do very well, that's not going to happen at all. You're not going to see that. Yeah. But what can happen easy is for someone in a position of power, or even sometimes it doesn't even need to be people who are above you. I think even people in other departments coming up to you and going, "Hey, man, you've been kicking ass," and da 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 da. Or people out that you don't run into every day, or people that have just been observing what you're doing and not in it. When they come up to you and go, "Hey, man, you've been doing this or doing that," it's one of those things where you feel good. You're like, okay, at least they're noticing.
Yeah.
And then it's okay, I am doing something. If they're seeing it, then I must be doing something, because they didn't have to come up and say that.
Yeah. No. I'm happy you brought that up too, because that was actually going to be another piece of advice that I was going to throw out. Was if you're you mentioned earlier, you saw it, you got to see burnout in other people the other day. If you're seeing burnout in your coworkers, your family members, your friends, just acknowledge the little things they're doing and compliment them. If someone goes just an extra step further than they should have, just say, "Hey, thanks for doing that. You didn't have to, but it was really great you did." Because I guarantee that is going to make their day so much better. And it's wild. I try to do that at work now. Whenever I know people are burning out, or if I see friends that are burning out, I just try to point out "Hey, that thing you did was really awesome." Or if they're being down on themselves, I try to build them back up. We have a lot of mutual friends, obviously, and I've seen it with a few of them where they beat themselves up because they feel like they're in a rut, they can't go anywhere, and it's just trying to remind them hey, you've got skill sets that can be used in so many ways. So get your head out of your ass. Just start thinking positively about yourself for 2 seconds. Try to have a good day, but sometimes easier said than done. So
it's a lot easier said than done. I actually had to do a pep talk for for a couple of people, at the job, and getting some messages back and forth, and having to drop the, hey, I at one point in time wasn't positive C anymore.
Oh.
And I'm glad I've become a better person and been more positive, especially as of late. But like, there was a time where I was cynical and I was burnt out and I was like down in that dump. But here's the thing. I'm also diagnosed bipolar depressive. Mm-hmm. So was I burnt out, or was I just on that depressive downturn? And that's why I said burnout was a symptom of depression.
Yeah.
Because like, let's say you're bipolar and you're not always depressed. Mm-hmm. But whenever you do go down that road, one of the things that happens is a burnout of, things that you love and job.
Yeah.
And so it becomes like, it's an arm of it. Maybe it's not a full symptom, but it's like an arm of depression that reaches out and grabs hold of the things that you love, and becomes burnout, becomes that, but it's still the same body of depression.
Yeah. And that's why, like I said, last episode and this episode, I've said, I hate the term burnout because it feels like a pop psychology overused term. And that's really what I mean.
Of the 1800s.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I'm trying to mean, is that because it shares so many similar symptoms with anxiety, depression, and other things that people experience, it has been acting as this catch-all lately, where people are just like, oh, you're experiencing burnout. And it's like, well, no, you're not diagnosed. You're not trained to diagnose such a thing. So maybe they are truly experiencing depression or anxiety, or, like you said, bipolar, ADHD. There's so many things it could be that I don't like how freely we use the term burnout, but it is a great first step to identifying that there is a problem.
And I think that'll be my last bit of advice, is if you're feeling burnout, find someone who you can talk to about it. Like, if it's someone at the job that you can, vent to or explain, if it's your partner, if it's, your friend, when we would get together and do our Murphy's Law writing sessions, our first 15, 30 minutes,
sometimes an hour.
Sometimes an hour, let's be real. It would be us venting about life and getting it out, because it was a safe space. We knew that we could talk about what we were talking about with each other, and not going to judge, but we were going to get honest feedback, and it wasn't going to be, because you don't need in that situation when you're venting, sometimes you don't need feedback that's going to help it. You just need feedback of what you said, and kind of rebound it and go, what did I say? Did I say something that made sense, or am I just bitching to be bitching?
Yep.
And so we would do that for each other, and I think that's sometimes what people need with burnout.
Yeah.
Are they burnt out, or are they just bitching to be bitching because everyone else is going through the same thing? So it's not the the neglect burnout, where you feel like you're doing more and not getting enough credit. Everyone's doing the same amount, and you're just along for the ride of what everyone's kind of going through. And so sometimes you have to hear that back to you. And so I think that's a big part of something that can be positive for people with feeling burnout, is talk to someone and explain why you're feeling this way, and see if you just might need to, again, take a step back and look at the overview of where you're at. And you might see, oh, I'm going through the same thing someone else is going through. So it's not just being piled on me. We're kind of pushing this pile of shit together.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. That's actually another one of the tips that helpguide.org actually suggests, is find someone to talk to. Yeah. Which, by the way, for anyone who wants to know more about burnout, helpguide.org, go check it out. There's a whole breakdown there. And then you said a World Health Organization, I believe.
Yeah, the World Health Organization is who calls it a occupational phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So you can go to their website and learn more about it. And if you just type in burnout list of types of burnout, you can go and find those lists and kind of see for yourself. And again, this isn't a medical condition.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things that you probably should self-diagnose, because a doctor is just going to go, well, you probably have anxiety, or you probably have depression, because those are what you're experiencing. But if you're not experiencing it in like different parts of your life, it's a specific thing, you might just be burnt out. So you might want to just read up on this.
Oh, definitely. Some other quick things to do, or you can do that might help, is just reevaluate your priorities. Reframe the way you look at work or whatever might be burning you out. And then there's a lot of suggestions that, making exercise a priority and then kind of changing your diet can be very helpful.
Okay, I got to stop you down right there.
Yeah.
Me and my partner both have been working out during our work weeks now. I've been going for now 2 weeks straight and going pretty consistently, like almost every day to a point, and not working out super hard to the point where, oh God, I got to take my rest day. But working out 30 minutes a day, my God, my sleep, my mood, my everything feels better. Like I feel like I could probably stop drinking as many energy drinks as I drink. I do. I
do that anyways.
I know. But I can feel like I can go like down to one and maybe a cup of coffee because I feel good. And and that's a part of not feeling burnt out maybe at the job like maybe I should, because everyone else is doing and feeling that way. I'm getting my lift in.
Yeah, no. I agree with you. I've to kind of counterbalance some burnout, I've been trying to do like 3-mile walks at least every other day.
Okay.
And it's just, I'm going with a friend. We're ranting about our days to each other. So again, we're turning to each other, but we're also getting that exercise. We're getting some fresh air. We're getting to touch grass. They all help. Some days not as much as others, but they do help. And I think talking about exercise, I think we've kind of already discussed this a little bit, but I think that's probably going to be our next topic, is just well-being of exercise, the pros, the cons, things like that. And, because like you said, you're going through a new exercise regime. I'm trying to get more into exercise. We're getting older, man. It's part of life now.
It's part of life. It's part of life. And that's why we're turning from Zaboys to men. This has been a great episode on the wonderful workplace occupational phenomenon of burnout. If you want to listen to more Zaboys media, I think this one actually will be on Acast. I think you can find us on Acast. I think this is where you can find more stuff. You'll find us anywhere podcasts are podcasting. You can watch this probably on YouTube at this point in time. I believe that if you're hearing this and in front of you is a picture of our logo with an episode thingy, you're watching it on YouTube right now. So thank you for going to Zaboys Media on YouTube and watching us not be there, but listening to us at the same time. If you want to go to our Patreon and donate, if you think this show is worth $1 or more, we have more stuff behind that bucket or more walls. So, you can come hang out more with Zaboys Media and everything we're doing, and maybe see us do more things that you will not get burnt out on. I am positive C. That is Thorny, the brain box Thornquist.
Yes, it is.
We will be back with exercise and more on Zaboys to Men. Peace out.
Matawea, stay gold, and find your safe place. Thank you for listening to Zaboys to Men, a Zaboys Media podcast. If you're going through hard times or struggling with mental or physical stress, please seek out professional help, because we are not trained professionals. If you like what you're hearing and want to find more, you can check us out at youtube.com under Zaboys Media Network, or on Spotify by searching Zaboys or The Locals Connection. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, find your safe space and stay gold, Pony Boy.